Hi, this is James Byron with Asbury School of Music. Today we're going to talk about how to change strings on a classical guitar. This is a classical guitar. It has, there's some differences between this and other acoustic guitars like a flat top steel string guitar. This one has nylon strings or strings that are nylon wrapped with something like bronze or silver or nickel, something like that. You'll notice it doesn't have a pick guard, and the headstock's different. If you look at the headstock, it's a little bit different. It's got some holes there, and the tuning pegs come off to the side like that, right? The neck is wider, okay, for playing classical guitar. So, I mean, you can play any kind of music on this. Well, probably not heavy metal, but it's called the classical guitar because traditionally this is what people use to play classical music on. Okay, if you get a concert classical guitarist, this is the kind of guitar that they're going to use. Okay, it's going to look like this. So one of the things about a classical guitar or nylon string guitar is the way the strings are attached is different. Okay, so on a regular, like flat top guitar, you've got this little wheel at the bottom of it that kind of holds it in place. You don't have that on classical guitar. What you have instead is something that looks like this. See that? See those windings like that? That's why it's different to change strings on this. That's what we need to learn about. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is take off the old string. Now, when you're changing strings on any guitar, you want to change the strings one at a time, okay? Because there's tension on that neck, and you don't want that neck to twist by taking off all your strings and doing it that way. So we're going to change them one at a time. And I'm going to start with the first string. The first string is a nylon string. It's an E string. So we're going to do that first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my handy-dandy little peg winder. For most guitars, I either use it or not. I mean, the little slot is what I use on most guitars because of the way strings are attached. But like I said, strings are attached different on a classical guitar. But this really comes in handy on a classical guitar because the strings on a classical guitar are often wound. There's a lot more windings. So if I put this on here and wind it the right direction, okay, this allows me to get that string off fairly quickly. So let me loosen her up. Okay, I think I can get that off. So I'm just going to take this. It's like a flat top guitar, a regular acoustic guitar, in that the string threads through a hole, okay, in this little post here. So that's what I want to do, is I want to get that string out of that hole. Okay, and now I should be able to just, if I can find it, should just pull that right off there. Okay, so that's off. Now let's look at the other end. On the other end, what we've got is it's wound on there. But what I can do is I can just take this, kind of put a fingernail under that and pull it. And it should come loose for us. Alright, and it does. Okay. And let's pull that one right on out of there. There. And there it goes. Okay, so we got that. So the old one's out. So now we're going to put the new one in. So I get my strings. This particular brand has 2 strings in a pack, so I've got to make sure I get the right one. And so there's my first string. I know it's my first string because the other one's going to be wound. And strings 1 through 3 are just nylon. Strings 4, 5, and 6 are wound like that. So I know this pack says it's got strings 1 and 4. So I know that the wound one is 4, the nylon one is 1. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So these are wound up in a little circle like this. You can unwind them by just kind of pushing the end of the string back through the circle, and eventually it'll just come off like that. Okay. Now, on these strings, on the nylon strings, there's not any difference between either end. I mean, either end are exactly the same, right? So we can use either end for attaching it. So we'll just pick one, this end here. What we're going to do is we're going to slide it up through the hole. Okay, just slide it up through that hole and push it through. Pull that out like that until we get almost to the end. Okay, so it's almost to the end. Now, here's what I'm going to do. This is a little different. This end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to make a loop around the open string. Let me see if I can get a better picture of that for you. Let's see. Get that string out of the way. So what I've done is I'm just taking my string like this, taking this. Here's the part of the string that's coming out of there. I'm going to take this, I'm just going to loop it around like this, okay? I'm going to loop it, and I'm going to pass this end. Just a second, let me adjust my camera a little bit. So, I'm going to pass this end back through the hole. In theory. Okay, so I pass that back through the hole. Now what I have is something that looks like this. Can you see this? Something that looks like this, right? Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind it around and pass it through that hole again. Hole in the bottom. Go upward right now. And then I'll do it again, maybe one more time. Wind it around, pass it through that hole in the bottom. Alright. So then what I have is I have something that looks like this. See that? It's just wound around there underneath, and then I'm going to pull it tight. And that gives me something that looks like this. You see that? See what that looks like? See what that looks like? Okay, so that's not going anywhere. I'll just string it through the top. And here, making sure that it's seated in the slot that it belongs in. I'll pass it through the hole here. And again, let's see here. There we go. Pull that tight, make sure it's in that slot. Now, what I can do is use my peg winder to tighten it up. Okay, so I'm just going to tighten this up, and you'll notice what. Okay, that's E. Don't be surprised if the pitch wanders on you a little bit over the next couple of days, but then it should stay stable. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to look at doing that with a wound string. It's a little bit different. It's almost the same, but a little bit different. This part's the same on winding it. And so since we have a pack of strings that has the fourth string out, we'll go ahead and take care of the fourth string. We'll change that one out. So I'm going to go. Okay, that's out on that end. Down at the bottom. Get it on this end. So then we have our fourth string. And I want you to look at this, okay? Let me set the guitar aside for just a second. I want you to look at this string. So it's looped just like the other one is, okay? Yeah, it's looped just like the other one is. And so I'm going to go ahead and keep pushing the N. Where's the other N? Push that N through the center until it kind of unwinds. So we got a straight string. Somewhat like this. Okay. Now, I want you to look at the ends of this. And what you'll notice is you have one end, if I can get it up, okay, I've got one end which looks like that. Okay, the other end is different. Looks like this. Sometimes it'll have a loop like this, sometimes it won't, but look at the difference, okay? Like this end is stiff, all right? That's kind of stiff. This end is very, very pliable. That's very loose and pliable. It's that way for a reason, okay? This is the end that's going to be at the bottom of the guitar. That's going to attach the string to the guitar. Okay, this is the end that's going to go up through the tuning mechanism. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to thread this through and leave that one at the bottom. So we're going to do it like this. Okay, so we find the place, the hole, we thread that fourth string through, and give it a good push. There it comes. Okay, so like this, okay? So I'm going to pull this thing through until I get to the end. Okay, here's my end, right? My end is like this. And then I'm going to, and so you can see there's kind of, you can actually see where the floppy part of this string ends, right? I want to kind of bring that thing right almost up to the end of that hole right there, okay? And then this floppy thing like this, I'm going to take this and do what I did with the nylon string. I'm going to wind it around. I take it first, wind it around like this, okay? I got it wound around, and then back underneath inside the hole. That's why that thing is floppy. It's because it allows it's flexible enough that you can wind it much easier than you could if you were trying to do this with a stiff string, right? Okay, so I'll put that through like one more time. And so I've got something that looks like this. See this? See what I got? Can you see that? Okay, and I'm going to pull that tight, like I did with the other string. Okay, cool. And now I'm ready to put it on at the top. This process is just like the other string that we did. We'll kind of put it through that hole right there. Okay, make sure that it's seated in the right slot right here, right, on your nut. And I can take my peg winder and just start tightening that thing up. So you can see how to change one of the nylon strings, just plain old nylon strings like the first string, right, or a wound string just like that. And so what I'll do is I'll take the excess and I'll just take my little wire clippers and I'll cut it off. I don't want to cut it off too short, okay? Because these strings can kind of slip a little bit, especially on a classical guitar. So I'll give it like about an inch, right? Clip it off there. Do the same thing with my nylon one. And that's how you do it, okay? Just change them all out, get them all tuned up. Here's the thing now, over a day or so, these strings are going to keep stretching, okay, until they stabilize. So you're going to have to tune it probably every time you play it for the next couple of days, but then it should stabilize and stay in tune. And that's how to do it.